this day well because I actually bought the equipment necessary to listen to this show. We're talking about a radio show, talking about Howard Stern announces he's moving to satellite radio where he's going to broadcast on Sirius. Now, at the time, Sirius was a very small company. XM was the big deal. And Howard Stern needed to make a decision, and he went with the little tiny company, Sirius, which only had about 500,000 people at the time. So that got a huge bump in subscribers. And the move to satellite frees Howard Stern from the shackles of the SEC, which had fined him over and over and over for all the things. Millions of dollars. Because they can't regulate satellite. And he took everybody. He took Gary, Fred, Robin, he took everybody. And the show had less commercials. And I bought a satellite radio to listen to Howard. And I loved it, man. And it was a phenomenal show. And of course, I knew about Howard from the E! Channel. And I had purchased his books. And I was ready for him to go to satellite. And, man, it was a fantastic show. And, man, he's still on satellite. And he did so well on Sirius that Sirius and XM finally merged to become Sirius XM.
You know what freaks me out about Howard Stern is that he has archived everything.
Yes.
I mean, there was a weekend where it was from the dead or from the grave or from beyond or something like that. And it was just like a weekend full of interviews from personalities that were gone, that had died. And then, I mean, and there were interviews from like the 80s, dude. When I was during the mid-90s, I was traveling quite a bit. I was going to LA, I was going to Florida, Miami and stuff like that. Whenever I'd go to a big city, I'd search for Howard Stern in the morning because I wanted to hear what he was doing, you know. And I mean, the guy pushed the envelope all the way. There's a lot of things, and that's something that kind of freaks me out because you know how a lot of artists and a lot of actors or whatever, politicians, they're bringing up like their past conduct.
Sure.
You know, and they're like destroying them. They're destroying their careers. Because they might have done blackface or
they said something crazy.
Or they said something. They said the N-word like 20 years ago or something like that. And this guy, I mean, if you go back to his history, I mean, he used to have some stuff that I don't even think would fly nowadays.
He used to have Donald Trump, and he would bring up actresses, and he would say, "All right, Donald," because he wasn't the president. "All right, Donald, who's hotter, J-Lo or Jessica Alba?" And Trump would like literally break down their body and rate them, and you know, you couldn't do that today. No way.
No, and another thing, he'd have porn stars, and the porn stars would be on the show. And they would, they would ride
this machine called a Sybian.
Yeah.
And it would, like, shake their entire pelvis to the point of ecstasy.
Yeah.
And, you know, he doesn't do that anymore. But, I mean, what a catalog of shows.
And you know what I like about Howard Stern's show is his setup for bands inside the studio.
Yeah.
I mean, he has live performances on YouTube on his show. From the Eagles, from he's
had Metallica in there,
Sammy Hagar. I mean, all these artists go in there, and they sound fabulous. They're mic'd up like great. Peter Frampton, and you could actually play the live version on the radio, on your radio station or your iPad or whatever. And it sounds great.
And he was reality before there was reality TV. He was doing reality radio because people thought it was fake. Like, this has to be fake. I mean, he's not spanking lesbians with a paddle and whipped cream, but he was.
Yeah.
And
everybody, like, the thing about it in radio, ladies and gentlemen, before internet, before all that, it was all theater of the mind. So he could, like, and I used to do this too when we were capable of doing it, like when we would interview strippers and stuff like that on the radio station. I would push the envelope sort of like Howard Stern. I remember having strippers come in, and I would say, all right, if it's your birthday, come on in, show me your ID, and you'll get a free lap dance here inside the studio. And I'd get 5'8" guys coming into the
Yeah.
studio, and I'd have to put paper all over the windows because the co-workers, before I knew it, I had an audience of people in the hallway,
Right, yeah.
you know, checking out the girl giving the dude, you know. So I had,
Oh my god.
yeah, so I had to like,
Cover it up because, like, do you even work here? How'd you get in here?
I remember one time Halloween, I was on the rock station, and I said, all right, I had a stripper in an adult star. And I said, okay, if anybody comes dressed as a rock, as Angus Young or ZZ Top or Ric Flair, you can, and I had guys show up dressed up like them to get the free dance from the girl inside the studio, and I'd mic them all up.
Yeah, and you know, every city had their own version of Howard, you know, and for a while you were our version of Howard. But he stood the test of time, and he's still out there. And,
Yeah, you know what's crazy is I would just, like I was talking about theater of the mind. I would describe the adult star, or I just, and you couldn't Google it. You know, you
no, you'd had to be your voice.
Yeah, I mean, there's nowhere you could have gone to see what I was describing to you. Now, if I have an adult porn star in my studio, you're gonna Google and see her and everything. You're gonna know exactly who you're listening to. So that I would describe her, and the thing about it is every single man out there would have a different woman inside their mind, and it was the woman of their choice.
Right, each guy had the most beautiful girl because it was their version.
Yeah, it was their version. So that was the magic of radio back then. But
I interviewed a dancer one time. Her name was Miss Plenty Up Top. So every guy was like, "Wow, she sounds beautiful."
Yeah,
And she was.
yeah.